of how you build confidence in these guys, figuring out the direction you want to go, what are the concepts we can get good at, and just keep doing it over and over again. Ultimately, I think we're playing as confident as we probably have in my time here, and it's a testament to the staff and the players and everybody involved.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. Honored and pleased to be with you, and honored and pleased you're spending part of your day live anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world with us on the ESPN Sports Lexington app, or later today, tonight, or tomorrow morning, whatever, via podcast on the ESPN Sports Lexington app with 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. An obvious soundbite from Bush Hampton, then I think everybody agrees with. The confidence of this team has never been higher this season. And I still think that it can get even higher. And by the way, for those of you uptight because Tennessee Tech is undefeated, trust me, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Kentucky's going to push them around in the pits. Line of scrimmage. They will win tomorrow. My hope is Bo Allen gets to play quarterback a lot of the second half. Seriously, that's my hope before Calzada. Why not? I don't care that Tennessee Tech has won 15 straight. I don't give a rat's. Seriously. They don't have the size and strength of Kentucky. On their level, they're very good. Yeah, I know. Upsets happened all the time. By the way, the FCS schools playing the power conferences, they've played 62 games this year. Jimmy, you want to take a wild guess as to how many games the FCS teams have won? Just a wild guess. Not fair, just a wild guess.
I would guess one.
You missed it by one.
Nah.
And it's not two. And the average score is like 50-9. So, you know what? If you support these kids, and by the way, I don't give a crap if you like Stoops or don't like Stoops. You do whatever you want. There's some really good kids that are going to play their last home game tomorrow. And if you're going, I hope you get out of your party atmosphere outside, continue it inside, whatever you want to do, and cheer those kids. Seriously. Whether you like or not like Kentucky's record over the last 4 years, you got some kids here who have busted their tails for themselves and their teammates and this university and you. And I think it's only appropriate that we all respect that. And by the way, I would say that about senior schools, even at Louisville. Come on. One thing has nothing to do with another. They got kids that have busted their fannies too. I would say same thing about University of Cincinnati. You got good kids everywhere, okay? And when they go through something like this, it's really emotional, obviously. And all the blood, sweat, and tears that these kids have put forth. I think it's cool. I hope whoever is there gives them a standing ovation. I'm going to be very curious to see what kind of crowd, because you know Kentucky's going to win. But seriously, worrying about losing tomorrow? Look, you can always get upset. I got it. Stop it. And it's pretty simple. If Kentucky can't knock the crap out of them in the pits, in the line of scrimmage on both sides, they don't deserve to go to a bowl game. Seriously. I mean, they still could if they lose. You got to beat Vandy and Louisville, but you know what I'm saying. This is a paycheck game. And this Tennessee Tech team on their level is a hell of a team. They really are. It's great. And their quarterback has done a hell of a job. Great. But you got Bobby Wilder, their coach, who's ticked off that they're playing Kentucky because they got to play a conference game the following week, and they're trying to win the conference championship on a lot of stuff, and he don't want to get his kids beat up. Seriously, that is always a concern, always, about schools on that level playing bigger schools because of the pounding that you take. It's human nature. And I wonder if he's going to hold some kids out. Kind of hope he doesn't, because I think those kids would be ticked off if you do. But when you have a coach on that level says he, quote, hates the fact that Kentucky's in his schedule, you think that might have gone in the craniums of those kids? Yeah. So, you know what? Go to the game tomorrow. You have a pop grape. You don't have a pop grape. My only suggestion is cheer those kids. They have earned the right for you to cheer them. That's why I wanted to start with football over basketball. Now, with Lowe. And I said it at the time, I had no idea. But unfortunately, with two major reconstructive shoulder surgeries, I know a little bit about shoulders, unfortunately. And Jimmy, I hope you remember that I said after he hurt himself that I knew nothing, but my fear was this was going to become a chronic problem. I know nothing, but I feared this was going to be a chronic problem. Because, basketball is a contact sport. It's not football, but it's contact sport. So you're bumping and grinding and that kind of stuff. And the odds of this thing happening again was really big. So he hurt himself yesterday. I have no idea if he's going to have surgery or not. Have no clue. I was concerned that he might need surgery after he went down the first time. And when he walked off the court at Memorial Coliseum after he got hurt, and I purposely described it this way, he could not move his right hand or didn't move his right hand at all. It was like it was planted against his body. It's a really bad sign. And by the way, this is just bad luck. Do I think the kid is injury prone? I do not. Do I think this is kind of a weird thing? I do. Is it just absolutely crazy that 2 point guards 2 years in a row have gotten shoulder injuries? I don't know what the odds would be on the gamblers, but it has to be astronomical. Now, the only good thing about this is Pope gets to adjust now. Now, I want you to think about this. Suppose this happened the Saturday in the SEC tournament, right? And now you have to adjust the whole team. The second thing is, look, I don't know if this kid's going to play basketball this year or not. Have no clue. I'm not going to guess. But if he can, you would like to think he would be 100% before the SEC tournament. I still buy this. You got to let this kid get his shoulder 100% before you put him back in. Shoulders are just different. There's bumping and grinding. And you know what? Lowe takes contact when he's dribbling the ball. Okay, that's what he's supposed to do. So I wish the kid all luck in the world. They can adjust. They will adjust. And I don't think this will stop Kentucky from going to the Final Four. Would it be much better to have him? Obviously. And his game the other day, as I mentioned, was a tale of two cities. In the first half, those dunks on the passes, wow. And then that little pass across, really good. And he had a smile on his face, and he was playing well, and he was loose, and he was relaxed. And the last 6-7 minutes, as I mentioned, day after the game, his body language sucked. He looked uptight. He threw a couple horrendous passes, obvious passes to get picked off. I couldn't believe how bad a couple of passes was. And then he dribbled out of bounds with 36 seconds to go. This is your damn point guard, and he's dribbling out of bounds. He was lost. And when he missed the front end of that 1-and-1, I thought it was one of the nails in the coffin because Kentucky was still on the run of maybe making, I don't know about a miraculous comeback, but just about a miraculous comeback. And you could tell that the Louisville legs were tired. And then the Louisville crowd did their job. They stood up and cheered, and I believe the crowd got the Louisville kids' energy and back in the game. So he was terrible down the end. Terrible. And is it bad that he's out? It's terrible that he's out. There's no question about it. Terrible. But you got to move on. And they will move on. A few other things. He's not going to do it, but I would start Marino over Brandon Garrison now. I just would. And I'll tell you why I would. Marino already is a better player, and he's going to get even better. And I think you need a lot of fire under Brandon Garrison. But I wonder if you don't start Brandon Garrison, and this is a nice thing to say, all for one for all the positive stuff, that's great. Partly, that ain't the damn real world. What did Garrison say when he came here? It's a 2-year deal. That's what Pope sold him on. And Garrison, I believe, believes he'd be here for 2 years at the most and on to the NBA. He doesn't play like a big man enough. He doesn't. I don't like his instincts. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but Marino is already a better player. He just is. He's got a better feel for the game. His rebounding is tons better. I know it's only a couple games, and I got to tell you, it was in my mind, and I believe I mentioned this, that I wouldn't be surprised if Marino took over. Not now. I had no idea Marino would be this good this quickly. I kind of thought by January he would be where he is now. So he's ahead of where I thought, as we all have, thoughts about how a player grows and develops and that kind of stuff. Well, there's no reason by January he can't be tons better. Tons better. And I'm not trying to bury Garrison, because whenever JQ comes back, that means Garrison is number 3. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. One, there's a loyalty factor that coaches have for players, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it stinks. It's a fine line. I'm going to guess Pope will be loyal towards Garrison, not that he doesn't like Marino. He loves Marino. And there are coaches at times who make decisions based upon the fact they fear, and I'm using the word fear on purpose, they will lose a player. And I'm not so sure if Garrison ends up playing, let's say, 15 minutes off the bench or 17 minutes off the bench, and Marino starts, you will lose him. Now, conversely, the other thing could happen, maybe light a fire under his you-know-what, which I would like to see. I just can't stand when he brings the ball up. I just don't. And I don't like when he brings the ball up, and I've mentioned this many times, when there's somebody ahead you could pass the ball to, and he will just dribble anyway. It's a selfish move. It's just a selfish move, and I've called it selfish before. Nobody else will call him out for that, and I will. To Pope. I believe Pope said the number was Louisville scored 34 points in the first 8 seconds of the shot clock, and then Pope says that's out of character for us. Mark, the honeymoon is over with a couple things I'm going to say. And Jimmy, I want you to listen carefully to this. Louisville's average possession going into the game was under 13 seconds. It is spectacularly fast. Pope is a smart guy. Pope looks at numbers. His assistant looks at numbers. So scoring in under 12 seconds is not unusual for Louisville, because that's what they do. So when you're saying out of character, this stuff that Pope is saying is out of character right now, honestly, it's driving me nuts. It's out of character how we played. Well, how the hell can you judge that when you've never played a road game like that? Seriously. Seriously. These kids didn't handle playing on the road that well. And these kids got outplayed. And these kids got outcoached. And these kids didn't keep their cool. Does that mean I'm down on this team or these kids? No. It's one freaking game. I stand by what I said. How I thought about this team the day before they played Louisville is the same I thought today. I assumed they would get exposed at some point. I mean, look what happened last year. The way Kentucky got exposed against Ohio State. They got the crap beat out of them. Yet, Kentucky came back. And as I was the first to say last year, the way Ohio State played Kentucky was the way Western Kentucky played Kentucky, even though Kentucky won. There was a blueprint. Coaches are smart. They looked at the tape, and they said, hey, look, Western didn't win, but look what they did. They pushed Kentucky around. We'll do it. And Kentucky adjusted. And they still were never a great physical team last year, but they weren't the team that played Ohio State, so they grew. And do I think these kids will grow? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Why not? I mean, why not? And by the way, you all making excuses, Kentucky beat Purdue, but they didn't really scout and this and that. And stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Don't take anything away from Purdue. Don't take anything from Kentucky. On that day, Kentucky beat Purdue damn good. And I watched Bama beat Pitino, and Bama was in better shape down the stretch. Man, they got some shooters. Their guards are really, really good. And then last night, Purdue beat Bama. I think you're going to see tons of this. And I can't remember. Jimmy, tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't Purdue only beat Oakland by like 10 points or something like that? There's going to be games like this, whether it's matchups, kids not getting excited. It's all part of it. And the overreaction to some of the stuff is crazy. It's really crazy. It's at times laughable. It really is laughable. So when Pope is saying it's out of character, how can you totally judge the character of your team until you've played home games, neutral games, and away games? I would like to believe that getting the crap beat out of them by Louisville will help them when they play Michigan State. The defense against Louisville sucked. Do I think this is a bad defensive team? I do not. This should be, and I think will be, a step up defensively from last year. Did you all really expect that they wouldn't have a bad game? You know, and the people putting stuff out talking about, hey, 22 million, what'd you get? Really? Really? No, you have 7-8 games like this at 22 million in headlines is worthy. Very worthy. Hell, I'll say it. But you got to have a little big picture temperature. No, you don't have to do anything. I have a big picture temperature. I just do. And I will continue that. But when Pope said they were out of character, my gosh, I couldn't agree with him more. You had no idea. Now, you hoped, and you saw practice, and you anticipated. That's what Pope does. That's what all coaches do. But to say out of character, Jimmy, you disagree with that? I think it's ludicrous. You hadn't seen him in that kind of environment. Now, when you see him in the environment, they did not handle it. Okay, so what? Is the sky falling down? No. Can they play tough games on the road and be more successful? Absolutely. Absolutely. You agree with me on being the voice of reason with this stuff or disagree? Tell me what you disagree with anything I've said so far in the first 18 minutes of the show.
No, I think if I try to figure out what Mark Pope was saying, because you're right, that is what they hadn't played in that situation, and they were in that situation. That's how they performed. But I think he's, in a way, how I would take it, is he's speaking to the players through the media saying that's not who we are. This is out of character for us because at our core, that should be out of character for us. Now, we haven't played in a situation, so technically, in a literal term, no, you haven't played in that. But at their core and at practice and what they want to be, that is going to be in the future. That is out of character for what this team is going to be at its potential.
You know, I actually think that's what Pope was doing. So good for you, Jimmy. Okay. But I still don't like it, and I still think it stinks. You want to know why? It's my show. Of course you're going to find out why. No, I think you had a bullseye. And first of all, you're bullseye dead right that all the good coaches, everybody knows, uses the media to give a message to the kids because one way or the other, players and the kids find out. I think the message is better is, guess what? We stunk. This is our first foray into this kind of environment. We will fix it and we will be better because we're a much better team. Instead of saying out of character. That's me. And if that's how he chooses to do it, well, I can respect it. I don't agree with it at all. Sometimes I think he's just too positive. I'm not saying ripping his kids. I'm not suggesting it. I don't feel it. I don't mean it. But no, this is part of their character. This is today who they are. They sucked on the road in a hostile environment. And they'll get to do it again. And you know what? I would hope and anticipate that they'll be much better. And they can be much better. But the fact that he said that 34 points scored within the first 8 seconds of the shot clock, it's out of character, that's not looking at the numbers. You know, it'd be one thing if Louisville's time of possession average-wise, let's say, was 20 seconds, right? And then you're scoring that many points, 34 in 8 seconds. Louisville is fast. And by the way, that brings me to something else I'm ticked off about Mark Pope. When he got here, Jimmy, what was he talking about? 3.5 seconds across the midcourt line, blah, 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 blah. And there were injuries last year. No question about it. And even I said he couldn't get it done because of all the injuries at the point. I understood it. I respected him. I gave him a pass. This is year 2 now. Okay? And I don't see why Jasper Johnson can't sprint with the ball getting across the midcourt line. I just don't. I just don't. I don't believe that there aren't like 3 kids who can literally take the ball and sprint. Can you sprint end to end in practice with the ball? I don't buy it. And so now we're seeing some of the stuff that he sold us isn't happening. It's just not happening. It's taking him too long to get across the midcourt line. Actually, Louisville is doing some things that Pope wants to do. Seriously. I'm being serious. And by the way, am I down on Mark Pope? Hell no. No. but somebody's got to point these things out. You can't say, I want to get across the midcourt line 3.5 seconds. You're in year 2 and you're still not doing it. And maybe not every time, but some more. This is not a fast-paced team. And by the way, when they run, they're really good. I know what I would do, and I've said this many times, how I would. Matter of fact, in my book, Cut to the Chase, that you all are still purchasing, not like you were before, obviously, but there's a chapter called Basketball Bennies. And it's one of the few chapters that I named. Most of all the chapters were done by Dr. John Wong. When we were kidding around, he said, I have to name it something. And he had all these goofy names for chapters, and we were finishing the book. And he said, okay, we got to sit down and figure out the real chapter names. And I screamed at him. It wasn't negative. No, Doc, John Wong, you're a genius. He came up with so many great names of chapters. It was beautiful. I don't think I named 5 chapters of a gazillion chapters in the book. He gets all the credit for that. It was great. It was great. And so when you look at it that way, Basketball Bennies, I basically put something together how I would coach a team and what I'd like to see. You run. Basketball is running. Basketball should be similar to hockey, not the way it is now. I'm not saying change guys every 2-3 minutes. I can't think of the guy's name. Jimmy, don't bother looking up, but it was a guy who was coaching of the Bria's women's team a number of years ago, and he put 5 in at a time, and they did nothing but shoot threes, and they were one of the highest scoring teams in the country on that level. And we went to do a story just because it was so much fun to watch, do something different. We wouldn't normally go to Bria to do a story. Sorry, we just wouldn't. And it was really cool. Now, I'm not suggesting Kentucky should play like that, but you sprint. It's basketball. Sprint. Do you all remember? You're not going to remember what I said, but the reason why Pitino did the 3-point shot moving quick across the midcourt line, I used to say this all the time. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show. We're in our 4th year, but he did it because he was a slow player and a chucker. He was a chucker. And so by getting the ball across the midcourt line quickly and passing up quickly, that would let a guy like Pitino get a shot easier because he liked to chuck the ball. I saw him play one time in college, by the way. Jimmy, have I ever told you that?
I don't think so.
So I went with my best friend to the old Madison Square Garden. Now, this Madison Square Garden is old. The old Madison Square Garden. And we're sitting on the second to top row. It's all we could afford. Back in the days when they would have double headers for college basketball. And you know, I don't know who the hell Pitino is. You look at the program, you see he's from Long Island, that's fine. Jimmy, he was chunky then. Seriously. He was chunky. He had long, floppy hair. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. Man, he didn't see a shot he didn't like. He was a chucker. No question about it. But if you move his whole offense was predicated on him as a ball player, saying, if I don't have the great athlete, then guess what? This will help guys who are unathletic like me. And if I get great athletes, guess what? It'll help the great athletes as well. That's what he did. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But that's what the hell he did. Okay, so one, I want to see, I don't care that Lowe, well, I'm sad for Lowe, but the fact that he's not playing, that shouldn't stop them from getting the ball across the midcourt line quickly. 2, and I'm going to stand by this. The fact that Pope said it was out of character, 34 points within the first 8 seconds of the shot clock when you have a team that has an unbelievable ability of their possessions being so short. That's what they do. Now, I'm sure they had other possessions that were obviously much longer, and I don't know what the average possession was for the game. It wasn't 8 seconds. It had to be much more, and there had to be sometimes they went it down towards the end of the shot clock. You can't be surprised with that. I have to believe he told the team they like to shoot quickly. I can't believe he didn't. It'd be an egregious mistake on his part. I would bet that he did. I can't imagine that he wouldn't. So this out of character stuff. And also, this thing, I said it yesterday because we carried the Pope press conference live, like we carried the Stoops press conference live. And when he started on the story, did I use the word dumb mistake? Do you remember how I said it yesterday? I said it was a mistake. Did I say dumb?
I don't remember if you said dumb or not. I don't remember.
It was a dumb mistake. Okay, this is Kentucky basketball. Pope knows it. You're coming off a loss. There are people, not me, that think the sky is falling down. You now say, like I said yesterday, that there's a story of something that happened pregame that he doesn't want to say yet. which means people are going to think about it. And when you are coming off a negative situation, which is Kentucky losing to Louisville, people start speculating. I can't believe he said it. He should have shut up. Seriously. Either tell the whole story, which is fine, or never tell the story. But leaving people hanging and causing for speculation, which is a huge part of Kentucky basketball, and he knows that. And he knows that. You know what Pope did, Jimmy? You ready for this? That was out of character.
It's a good callback.
It was out of character. And maybe we're seeing a different side of Pope, or more of the real Pope, because, you know, he's comfortable in his house. He's comfortable here. His press conferences are getting shorter when you lose. His handshake with Kelsey was, would you say, cold? I think there was something else in there. Do I think he should have been a little warmer instead of shaking, keep on going by? He's a bad loser. Okay. I have no problem with that. You're a bad loser. Great. You can spend another second congratulating Pat Kelsey, and then hopefully when Kentucky beats them next year, that Kelsey would do the same thing for Pope. I didn't like that, by the way. Is it a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it really tells you something about it. And I got to tell you, you know, a lot of you all don't want to hear those kinds of things because you only want to hear good gaga stuff on Kentucky. I just can't believe he said, there's a story. I'm not ready to tell you now, but it's something happened before the game, and it wasn't obviously a really good thing, but I'm not ready to tell you. Why would you say that? I stand by what I said yesterday. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't think this team is as bad defensively for the entire season. I think they had a horsebuck game. I don't think they're as bad for the rest of the season as they played the other day on defense. I don't. I just don't. We'll see. I thought he did a better job recruiting athletes and defensive players, and I think these kids want to play defense for Pope. I don't question that at all. I don't. Don't question it at all. And I don't question that a great place to go get a vehicle is the Quattro Auto Group. Judy's got the XC60, the Volvo, the hybrid. She loves it. Loves it. So whether it's Volvo, Subaru, Cadillac, it's the place to go. It's worth driving in. And you might say, hey, Cutler, I'm listening to you, but in my town, they sell this or they sell that, they sell the other. Okay. I respect that. I'm also telling you, dealing with the Quattro Auto Group, you just feel good dealing with them. You just feel good. And to me, that's important, especially with a big purchase. And they work with you. They work with you. And they still have this deal on the Outback, 0% interest, 0% interest for 36 months. If you want to spread it out to 72, it's 1.9. Volvo, Subaru, Cadillac, they have deals. And don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, next Cadillac, next Volvo, and they promise to get you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. Thank you for tuning in. Don't worry about the football game tomorrow. They're going to beat them in the trenches, which is what they're supposed to do. They're feeling great about themselves. That will continue. Applaud these kids who are seniors. Whether you like Stoops, don't like Stoops, right now, I don't care. I mean, really, you think the way you want. But not to support and cheer for these seniors who have busted their fannies for themselves, for their teammates, and the school. And a lot of these guys will always love this school. Not everybody, but so many of these guys will always love this school. I think those kids need to be applauded. I think people should cheer their hearts out. I think that's the right thing to do. And on that note, you do whatever the hell you want. Sean Wood's coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
I'm Kathy Bingaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together. And the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
This is Brent Clark with my daughter, Carlisle.
This is my radio Get ready for the holidays. So if you're just headed around the block or far away, stop in, gas up, and get some yummy treats for the car. Check out our holiday specials, including Mentos or Trident 5 bottle pack gum for $3.99 or Uncle Ray's potato chips 3-ounce bags for $1.99.
So no matter where your holiday travels take you, stop in any Clark's Pumpkin Shop and get stocked up on holiday candy. And thank you for being a customer.
Clark's Pumpkin Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Before I introduce Sean Woods, I want to be careful about this. I have some trepidation, but the first thing I want to do is say thank you to Steve Tressler, who sent it to me. No matter what happens, thank you, Steve, for sending it. There's a guy named Scott Hughes. Never heard of him, but he's a graduate of my school, Cortland State 09. Says he's a credentialed men's college basketball reporter, independent journalist. And you're telling me this is a troll account, Jimmy?
Yes, I saw his stuff this morning. And a couple of his tweets recently have been community noted, saying he also had a tweet out about Bryce James has been dismissed from Arizona because he refused to redshirt this year. He tweeted that out yesterday.
Thank you.
But he is a very popular one for these troll tweets that get picked up and believed by.
Now I'm upset that he graduated my school. Steve, though, thank you for sending it to me. Seriously. Okay, I'm not going to read it. That would be the prudent thing not to read, correct? And I'll just say in reading it, part of it made no sense to me at all. I was going to read it and say I have no idea. And we do a lot of this on the fly. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, a man who's up in the rafters or up in the nosebleed section in a really classy, beautiful way because his jersey is retired because he had blood, sweat, and tears in that jersey forever. A man who Patino used to beat on because he could take it. A man who was in great shape, should have played in the NBA if he would have listened to me, but of course he didn't. I can't say everything nice, but I'm right, Sean. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. Are you put weight on?
No, I got a sweatsuit on. I've lost more.
First of all, muscle, because your face looks fat. Last time I saw you, seriously. Now let's call it straight. So 6-8 months ago, your face was a lot fatter, okay? And you lost a lot of weight. And I've told you on the air how proud I am of you, and I am. But right now, your face looks like you put 25 pounds back. If you tell me you haven't, I believe you.
I have not put on 25 pounds.
Okay, Sean, I love you like a brother, even though we both destroy each other, right? Right or wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually freaked for a second. This is personal. This is not for the radio show. Oh, my God, because, look, my middle name is Yo-Yo when it comes to weight. Because I've lost 20, put on 20. I'm terrible. I'm terrible when it comes to yo-yoing. So I don't be a hypocrite, but I was worried about your health. So
well, I'm always telling you, you ain't got to worry about that no more. I told you, when the doctor tells me once, that's it, buddy.
What do you weigh now?
I weigh 211.
Wow. And what were you when you were going to the fat factory?
252.
I am proud of you. I'm sorry you look like you. I wasn't. You know how we bust each other's chops? Your face does look fatter. It does. Let's get off that. Then that's in this tone of voice. As much as we bust each other, in this tone of voice, I'm telling you an honest truth. I enjoy telling you that, but it's the honest truth. Okay, let's forget about that. Lowe. I have no clue if he's going to play this year, not play this year. I don't know if he's going to do surgery or not. The only thing I said after the blue wipe, because of the way he walked off the court where his arm was basically frozen to the side, and I've said this because I've had 2 total reconstructive shoulder surgeries. I know more about shoulders than I care to. And I said on that next show that I was concerned, knowing nothing, that this could be a chronic thing because people, you know this better than me, people don't think basketball is a contact sport. It is. It's just not football. And when you keep on banging and stuff like that, if you're walking around town and he has that thing, it'll heal better. When you play basketball, you bump. You're a guard. You're going in the paint. He got bumped many times. He's just playing basketball. So I was concerned. And he hurt himself again yesterday in practice. I don't know if they know what they're going to do yet. But I got to tell you, I wouldn't claim he's still 100%. And I don't think he's going to be 100% for a long time. And if you do surgery, you got to take care of the kid. And bringing these kids back quickly doesn't work. Jeff McCrory told me a great story last night. Then I want you to go and do your thing. Hal Morris was a really good player for the Reds. And early on in the year, he messed his hammy up. And he came back too soon, and he messed it up again. And Pick said, and I remember he had a couple hammy problems, and he messed it up again, and he lost his job. And at that point in his career, he wasn't going to the Hall of Fame, but he's a pretty nice player. A guy that should have been a first baseman for the Reds for a long time. And Benziger took over. He ended up losing his job. And you know this, there's a toughness that you need to have, which you had, and a lot of athletes have, but there's a certain point you got to take care of yourself, and you can't be afraid to take care of yourself. I didn't like the fact, when I saw he was coming back with a brace, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And in my mind, and I did not say this, so when I say I said something, I said it. I did not say it. When I saw the brace, I felt like going on radio, and I just didn't. And I'm mad at myself that I wouldn't put him back in the game until he didn't need to do a brace, because that means there'd be more healing done on his shoulder. Neither here nor there. On that note, I think because this happened early, they have plenty of time to adjust. What does Sean Woods, former superstar point guard for Kentucky, think?
I'm hoping and praying, Alan, but it's real evident that we're going to be going down the same road we were last year at the point guard position, with the point guard dealing with chronic shoulder injury, which you and I know what a labrum injury is. It never heals on its own. You can stand, tolerating the pain, but at the end of the day, to make it heal completely, you do need surgery. And like I said last week and the week before, you can't just rely on one point guard. And now we're relying on one point guard that's dealing with a shoulder injury. And it puts Kentucky in the same situation that they were in last year. Your playmaker, your maestro, is going to be part-time, and you don't know when he's going to be like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from day to day. And that's how this season's going to be unless somebody emerges. But, when you only have one pure point guard in the stable, now, you got to make adjustments, and it's just going to make it a little tougher for Pope and his staff and that team to deal with, because, you saw what he did when he came in the game, the first 2 games that he played, and he enhanced our play, because he's the ultimate playmaker. He makes everybody else's job looks much easier. And look at the kid from Florida. He had to play point guard, and his numbers were down. And once he went back to his natural position, he scored 20 for you. Because that's what he does. And we have serviceable guards that can play point guard, but in order to get to that next level, your lead guards got to be at elite level, and that's just going to put a strain on our team right now without him.
So you believe Pope made a recruiting mistake, not bringing another true point guard as a backup who could take over the reins if something happened? And let me go one more. And because they spent a great deal of money on the bench so they wouldn't be short, perhaps they should have spent more money on a backup point guard. Is that what you're saying? And because they spent much money on a bench and they don't have a guy like Mikael Brown, okay, maybe that was a recruiting mistake. If you have no injury, it's not a recruiting mistake. You agree, disagree? Where's your thoughts?
Well, my thought is you can't just have one point guard. I've always been taught as a coach, you got to have more than one point guard. You got more than one 2-man, you got more than one 3-man, you got more than one 4-man, you got more than one 5-man. You got to have more than one point guard. That's just it, and they didn't do that. And now they're back to square one, just like they were last year.
Well, I also look at it this way, because they're adjusting now, they have plenty of time. If this was, let's say, adjusting the Saturday during the middle of the SEC tournament and there really wasn't a backup, you're screwed for the NCAA tournament. But he's got enough time to figure something out. Agree?
The figuring out is, how can you get him healthy for the long stretch? That's the only figuring out. The other figuring out, there's no one else there. You don't have a backup point guard. You got backup guards that are going to have to be serviceable. But guess what? When he's not in the game, our scoring margin is not very good. That's the thing that we're struggling with right now, scoring the basketball. And unless we get in transition and create and become a better defensive team and limit teams to one shot and get out in transition, we're gonna have a tough time, until he just figures some things out in the half court. And Lowe just makes things so much easier, coming off ball screens and doing things that other guys can't do on that team from a guard standpoint. And it's just going to make it, you can have all the X's and O's, but you need Jim and Joes. And Jim and Joes, you need two Jimmies to make the Joes look good as far as playmaking is concerned. And when your playmaker is out, now other people got to do things that they're just not doing. Point guards are born. They're not made. And you don't wait till you get to college to become a pure point guard. And Lowe is an elite point guard, which Kentucky is an elite program, but you need more than one. And because when one goes down, you're not as elite as you normally are. And, that's where we are right now.
So you were born to be a point guard.
It was just natural. Point guards are just natural. It's like a natural born leader. You can be a gang leader and don't have to throw a punch, but you know how to lead. You know how to put guys in certain positions, and he's great at making other people better, as you saw when he's in the game. I thought he was just coming because, he had to, do away with, some of the kinks of being out for 2-3 weeks, but he was playing pretty doggone good. And when he came in the game the other night against Louisville, he got us going. But, he got banged a couple of times, guys running him off screen, so on and so forth. And I can tell he was always moving that shoulder and this and that. It didn't look good. And now that you're telling me, this is my first time hearing that he hurt it again yesterday in practice, that kind of makes me cringe a little bit. I hope it's not super serious, but like I said before, we dealt with this with Lamont Butler. My son went through it at Tennessee Tech for John Pelfrey, and now Lowe's going through it right now. And it's the inconsistency of not having a consistent point guard that's going to create problems for us, I think.
So if I understand Sean Woods' logic, with you being a point guard and a natural leader and telling people where to go and what to do, that helped you bust my chops at an early age, but you didn't know those skills would be fortuitous to drive me out of my mind at times. Is that correct?
No doubt about it, Bubs.
You're going to drive me out of my mind. Last comment. Let me throw this at you. This bothered me, what Pope said. So he said, I remember what he said, there were 34 points scored by Louisville in the first 8 seconds of the shot clock. But Louisville as a team going into the game was unbelievably fast. Their possessions were less than 13 seconds. So if you're doing 8 seconds or 6 seconds, there are obviously some possessions that are 18, 20, whatever. I don't know what the average was for Louisville, but that's what they do. So when he said it was out of character, I'm going, really? Two things. When he says the team is out of character, you don't know how you hope you know how the kids are going to react. You don't know how the kids are going to act when you go into a hostile environment. So that wasn't out of character. They have to fix that, but that wasn't out of character. To me, that was a BS comment. And when you're saying it's out of character to let that many points scored 8 seconds of a shot clock, well, that's what Louisville does. And so Louisville did what they do, and that's what beat Kentucky. So this out of character stuff that coaches use, no, that's part of who you are. Now you have to fix it. Agree or disagree?
I agree. That's who Louisville is. And I listened to Jack Givens' comments, who did a great job pre-game versus Louisville, and that was one of his keys. You got to find shooters in transition because they like getting them off quick. You got to keep guys out of the paint, and you got to beat Louisville to balls. You can't allow them to get second chance shots, with the quickness of their bigs. And that's exactly what Louisville did to us. They beat us to balls. They out-hustled us. They played their style of play. I don't know what our style of play is. We're still trying to find identity in the offensive end. Louisville stuck to their guns, and they were good at what they do, more so than Kentucky was better at what they do.
I'm proud of you that you're 211. You realize you're like 30 pounds lighter than me? I'm really mad at myself right now. All right, what is going to happen if I get lighter than you?
You're never going to look better than me, but you're going to look much better.
I knew when you paused, I was in trouble. Love you, brother. Get off my phone.
I love you too, Bubby.
Look at Jimmy. He gets the last shot in more than he doesn't he? I have to be no filter on my. Look at if you're watching on YouTube, Jimmy, look at his smile. He's like grinning. He's like a kid who just
look
got
at
his
him,
first
Jimmy.
birthday cake.
He's red as that ESPN behind his back.
Because what I'm thinking, I can't say on radio. Get off my phone.
Hey, it's like a fart. You got to let it out, but you can't because you don't want to smell up the room that's with a bunch of people.
Oh, my God.
It's frustrating. You can't let it out, Bubs.
Oh, my God. That's the funniest insult now in our fourth year of doing the show, and you have it. I should have hung up, Jimmy, 30 seconds ago. I'd have been much better off.
Jimmy, don't go to a commercial. Keep it going.
Everything's locked. It's frozen. It won't go away.
Yeah, really. We're late for our next guest. I know you know Deuce Williams.
Hey, tell my boy Deuce I love you, man. I miss him and I need to see him. Now that I'm in Lexington, I still haven't run into him. Deuce was a good friend of mine when we were in school.
Okay. I will convey that to him. Now, would you please hang up?
Hey, I won't hang up until you tell me you love me.
All right, I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Alan Cutler. He said he loves Sean Woods. And by that, like Kaywood always said, sayonara.
And he just hung up, didn't he?
And he's gone.
Well, you know what he did to me? It was a mic drop. Was that a mic drop or what?
Yeah, I think that he wins that.
No filter's no filter, right? That was a knockout punch. That was a TKO. You're not disagreeing, are you?
No, he got it.
Yeah. I know he hung up and he's back at school. He's in school now. I will tell him he TKO'd me. He will enjoy it. And it's the truth. It is what it is. Deuce Williams coming up next. Whew, that was a tough one. That was really, really, really tough. And I tell you what was easy. I want to thank Chad Flynn and Chuck Ely, my friends at Elliott Services. For some odd reason, we had a cold shower last night. I'm going, what the heck is going on? The light went out in our heating system, and Chuck, I didn't know it was going to be Chad Flynn. We became fast friends. How about this? Chad Flynn's son, who pitches for Alice Lloyd when he was a senior. I think everybody knows how Bourbon County and Paris are arch rival enemies. His son hit like a 25-footer at the buzzer for Bourbon to win a couple of years ago, and he quickly showed me the video. I mean, he comes to the house. We became fast friends. Really good guy. coaches baseball, all kinds of stuff, and he fixed our problem. And we have hot showers now, which we didn't last night. I took a cold one. It was Elliott Services taking care of us again on a short notice. Elliott Services, 859-255-5788. 859-255-5788. 100% employee owned with licensed background check, non-commission based technicians. The success of their job is the success of the company. We do it all the time. I'll run down the other stuff that they do in the next hour, as we have been doing 2 spots per show. Elliott Services. Thank you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Chuck. Really first class. And I used the picture of Elliott Services to promote the show because, man, they took care of us on a dime. We need hot showers, especially old people like me. Elliott Services, 859-255-5788, 859-255-5788. Deuce Williams coming up next. Gene Abel after that. Christy Thomas after that. Having fun with you. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and gimmicks.
I'm Kathy Bingaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together. And the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
This is Brent Clark with my daughter, Carlisle.
We want to help you get ready for the holidays. So if you are just headed around the block or far away, stop in, gas up, and get some yummy treats for the car. Check out our holiday specials, including Mentos or Trident 5 bottle pack gum for $3.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips 3-ounce bags for $1.99.
So no matter where your holiday travels take you, stop in any Clark's Pumpkin Shop and get stocked up on holiday candy. And thank you for being a customer.
Clark's Pumpkin Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. I'm sweating because of the way Sean Woods, No Filter, knocked me out at the end of the show. So here's the deal. Sean says to me, hey, make sure you say hi to my boy, Deuce, because you guys used to be friends. He hasn't seen you in a long time, so you want to get together. Then Gene Abel, who's coming up next, said, let me read it word for word. So now I have to follow my guy Deuce. Tough act. Man, you got all this love from everybody.
Hey, man. So I'll have to admit, I was listening to you and Woody, and yes, Sean and I were in school together at the same time, and we ran across each other many times in school. I'm very fond of Sean, but what a segment! That's a hard one to follow, man. And he did bust your chops. You got him off the jump though, because I said, "Wow, you went in deep on him right off the jump."
I got him really good at the beginning. The bad news is he got me better at the end.
He did.
That's an honest scouting report, right?
It is. It's a good scouting report, and it was entertaining for sure. It was good to hear you guys, and can't wait to hear what Gene has to say. I haven't seen Gene in a long time. So fond of Gene. He and I go way back.
Interesting. Good stuff. All right, Deuce. So I'm saying this. Tell everybody the years you played at Kentucky linebacker. So, some people don't remember
It might have been too long, 1989 through 93. So it's not that long ago, but go ahead. You're going to bust my chop. So come on. I'm ready for it today.
Now that you're expecting it, we'll wait till a little bit later. By the way, you've done your goatee you got now. Very nice job trimming it. I'm impressed.
Thanks.
Really
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Did you do it yourself?
I did.
Really?
I did. I'm talented. I'm talented, man.
You mean your wife didn't do it?
No, I wouldn't let her get close to my beard.
I think every man would say, I
No.
understand.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
exactly
don't
right.
want your wife too close to your neck, right? And you just a little like, whoops.
She might just make a mistake, and to her it might not be a mistake, but it would be to me for sure.
It would hurt. Okay. I'm looking at Tennessee Tech, and it's pretty simple. If you can't knock the crap out of them at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, you don't deserve to go to a bowl game, 1 and 2. I don't doubt that they're going to knock them around at both lines of scrimmage. Plus, their coaches ticked off that they're playing this game, ticked off because they're undefeated. They won a ton of games in a row. I think it's 15, and they have to play for a conference. And this is not knocking their kids. But if you got a 280-pound guy going against a 310-pound guy, and he's pounding on you, and he's just as strong, if not much stronger, that's how you get extra sore. That's how you may not be as good the following week. That's how you get hurt. And he's worried about his conference and the playoffs on his level and that kind of stuff. I don't blame him, by the way. I'm interestingly surprised how honest he is. Of course, he didn't set the game because the game was set up before he became the head coach here. But the point is this: when you have a head coach saying how much he doesn't like the game, his kids know it, they're going to get destroyed. And the average score is 50-9. With the lower level playing the big boys. And you know how many games the lower level teams have won this year?
Not many.
0 out of 62.
Yep. There you go.
So anybody concerned, and one more, and then I want you to go off. Whether you like Stoops or not, I don't care. But these kids, these seniors, have busted their tails for 4 and 5 years, maybe in some cases 12 years, but 4 and 5 years. They have busted their tails for themselves. They have busted their tails for their teammates. They have busted their tails for Kentucky. Many of these kids will be like you. They'll love Kentucky forever. And I think no matter who you are, if you're going to the game, get in there early and cheer these kids and give them a warm, I think, rambunctious applause to honor them for the work and sweat and blood that they've put in. But that's me.
Hey, no doubt about it. And look, it's special to play at Kentucky. There's no doubt about that. And these kids deserve to have a great senior day. And I do think, like we said last week, I think we're going to play well tomorrow. And you should, right? Like you said, that we should win big, but that's why you line up and play. You can't take anything for granted. And I guarantee that Coach Stoops and his staffs are making sure that the kids will be ready for tomorrow when we line up and play.
So you're not worried about tomorrow either, are you?
I'm not. I wasn't worried about last week. I thought we would win last week, and you and I both called that. And I thought it was going to be a game that we would win. And I stick to what I say. I think that there's been a lot of adversity this year, and you think about just the talks that we've had the last couple of weeks, and we've been hammering on them. And I'll have to give Coach Stoops, his staff, and the kids credit. Because they have come together in the last couple games. They have looked good. So, I don't want them to get too happy and proud, but I like to see them go perform tomorrow and win another football game.
Well, their confidence is an all-time high for this season. Bush said it as well in the soundbite we played earlier, and there's no reason why that shouldn't continue. It really shouldn't. And I would like to think that these kids are smart enough not to play down to their competition, and I would like to think somebody has told them, if we get way ahead, some of the guys who've been helping you in practice who don't get enough time will get to play, and you owe it to your teammates who don't get to play to get a big lead so I can put them in. And so, they should score more points than they've scored against Florida. Again, I'm not knocking Tennessee Tech. On their level, they're terrific, but they're not as big, and they can't be as strong. Just can't be as strong, and this should be a pushover game.
When you look at it on paper, it should be. But obviously, if you've got a good football team, I don't care what league you play in. If you go win 10 games, you've got to have some kind of talent and a pretty good football team. So we can't take him for granted. That's for sure. And we got to line up and play. But I'm with you. I think that by halftime, I would think we would start to be subbing out some guys and giving some guys some opportunity to play that maybe haven't got a chance to play that much this year.
Bowl game for Kentucky. Are you that confident? Are you now saying close to 100%?
Man, I'm not saying close to 100%, but I think our shot to win out looks really good. I've watched Louisville play several times this year. I've seen Vanderbilt play, and we should win tomorrow. So our chances to go to a bowl game are in our own hands. And look, I think they're motivated. I really do. I think that Coach Stoops has grabbed his team and said, forget all this adversity that's going on outside. Forget what people are telling you. Forget what Cutler and Deuce are talking about, or whoever that is bringing something up. We've got to go perform on the field, and they have. I mean, the offense has been much better. So you got to give credit. I think Cutter has helped that along. It's given them some more options to open up things, being able to stretch the field and throw the ball down the field, and running game has been fairly decent. So, I'm optimistic, Alan. I really am. I think that we have a good chance to go to the bowl game this year. I'm not 100%, but I'm hedging that we're headed that way.
Okay. Anything else about UK sports that's in your cranium, or are you just going to enjoy tomorrow and sit back?
Man, I'm just going to enjoy. It's been the last couple of weeks have been good for sports. We didn't win this week in basketball, but I had a chance to go to the ball game last week. Last Friday, and then we went to football game and enjoyed that, and watched the Louisville Kentucky game this week. I wish we'd have been on the better side of that, and I'm gonna go see the football game tomorrow. So great football, and nothing big that's on my mind other than go Big Blue.
There you go. Hey, Deuce, as always, thank you. Say hi to your dad.
I'll do it, man. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great weekend. See you.
Bless you, brother.
Bless you.
Deuce Williams, that's a really good goatee he's got there. Jimmy, I'm impressed. Very impressed. It's like he had it done, but if he says he did it himself, I'm going to buy it. You?
It's a good-looking goatee. Lined up perfect.
Yeah, it makes him look younger. It makes him look under 75. Gosh, I wish I would have said that when he was still on. Sorry, Deuce. I like his dad. His dad's really, really a good dude. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Like you too, Deuce. Who we can consider you a good buddy. 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Acupuncture. Ramon Carriega on Versailles Road. Not too far from the radio station. He's a special dude. He's really, really, really good. He's helped me tremendously. Use my name when you call for an appointment, please. 859-533-0914. Blue Lotus Health. Gene Abel coming up next. Christy Thomas coming up at 1:30. Thank you for tuning in. I think that's the worst I've been knocked out by a one-liner since we started the show, and it was done by, of all people, Sean Woods. Would you agree that's the worst I've been knocked out?
Yeah, and I think it's to be expected that it comes from Sean Woods. It's only right that it comes from Sean.
Yeah, the bad news is I can't stand that you said that, but you're right. Alan Cutler, look at you grinning. So if anybody wants to see Jimmy grinning or the look on Sean's face, checking it out on YouTube, Jimmy would be
ESPN Sports Radio 1300 AM.
Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
This is Brent Clark with my daughter, Carlisle.
Get ready for the holidays. So if you are just headed around the block or far away, stop in, gas up, and get some yummy treats for the cars. Check out our holiday specials, including old pepper jerky 4-ounce bags for $8.99 and assorted Snickers standard size candy bars, 2 for $3.
So no matter where your holiday travels take you, stop in any Clark's Pump and Shop and get stocked up on holiday candy. And thank you for being a customer.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Cutler Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
The 223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. I want to thank Sean Woods, I think. It's pretty funny, folks, how bad he busted me if you're just joining us on the show. And then Deuce Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the former outstanding sports editor of the Lexington Herald-Leader, Mr. Gene Abel. Gene, how are you?
Doing well, Alan. We're going to skip the modeling part of the show where you like tall, fat Sean Woods fat and then brag on Deuce's goatee. So we can skip that part now.
Okay.
Go right to the meat of the show.
Ooh, Jesus, let's get to the meat. All right. Okay, I don't like some of the things that Pope did. You know, it's okay to criticize him. I think you can't. I don't think any less of Pope, and I don't think any less of the team. But, you know, when he said it was out of character what these kids did, he never saw them in that kind of environment. You expect and hope your kids would play really well. But since there was nothing there to show that they didn't, I don't think it's out of character. I think it's part of their character. That's part of who they are. And now they can fix it. That doesn't mean they're going to be like that every time they go on the road in a hostile environment and that kind of stuff. But that's who they were on that night. It's just who they are. And if him say it's out of character and he can't figure out why it happened, to me, that's either too positive gobbledygook or it's almost a dreamland. Am I wrong?
I understand what you're saying. I assume with the out of character, he was talking about what he thinks he's learned from his team after a month of practice. I understand what you're saying. What the statement I didn't understand at all, which I call it unexpected rather than something meaner than that, was this business about the pregame stuff. He knows Kentucky fans better than anybody. He knows how they overreacted. And he just set this thing up for just an explosion of people with more conspiracy stuff than I don't understand why he said that and what the purpose of it was and what he think was going to come out of it. And I think he said, I'll explain it later. So how many times this year is somebody going to say, well, you going to explain what you meant 2 months ago?
Every time there's a press conference. So two things. I ripped him yesterday after the press conference we carried live, and I already ripped him in the monologue. And he's supposed to be smarter than that. So here's the deal. You know, when you say, I'm not going to tell you till later, I don't like that anyway. Either say it or don't. But what's much worse is the sky is falling according to some people, not me. So now you have a negative situation and you're teasing a story and people are going to go nuts. It was, strategically speaking, with his mouth, the worst thing he said since he's been the head coach here, in my humble opinion. You agree?
I would agree with that. He just put gas on the fire, and he knows these fans. Because Mark is a very, very, his intelligence is way off my charts. But it surprised me when I heard it. And in fact, I didn't hear it live. Somebody told me he said that, and I said, surely that's not what he said. And yes, that is what he said. And,
it's surely what he said.
Do you have any idea what he's even talking about?
No.
And it also sort of came across as he was making an excuse, but he isn't going to say what it was.
Yes. See, that was my interpretation, and you and I could be wrong, but he left it out there hanging.
Well, how do we know if we're wrong?
Right. Let's say they beat Louisville by 15 points, and he says it. I still don't like it, but I like it much less because he lost at Louisville. And is it possible, as smart as Mark is, maybe he's smarter than the both of us combined. He's definitely smarter than me, but is it possible when you're upset and you're emotional, you say things that you wouldn't say if you were calm?
I don't. I read something, and this could be wrong, that after he said that, he used the word distracted, not in that particular sentence, but through the rest of the press conference, which then again makes me, what is he talking about?
He did use the word distracted, which bothered me, and he used the word out of character, which really bothered me because you are who you are. And you know, this is one of my pet peeves. This has nothing to do with Pope. When somebody does something wrong and they say, that's really not me. No, it is you. In that moment, that was you. Now you can fix it. You can apologize. You can change it. But that is who you are. You can't say, people like to say it's a cop-out, weak excuse. That's not who I am. This team did a lot of bad things on the court against Louisville. Okay, that doesn't mean you can't win a national championship. But I think you're better off, instead of masking it, saying, wait, this is how it was. We were really bad in this, and let's go fix it. Instead of saying it's out of character. You don't know what the character is. Just because what you see in practice, you know this, it doesn't mean squat when you go into a hospital environment like Louisville.
Well, what he has everybody wondering is what is going on with this team. Was there a fight in the locker room? Was there, what does he mean out of character? Well, what is the character? Anyway, and I don't want to just harp on the negative things about Pope, because I like Pope. I think he's a good coach, and there's a lot of good things going on, but that was baffling to me.
Okay, let's continue with the meat and potatoes. We won't talk about how you trim your mustache.
Okay.
How concerned are you about Lowe? I'm not counting him at all for the rest of the season. I'm not trying to be negative. I think if he comes back and he's healthy, wonderful. Wonderful. And, you know, suppose I'm going to throw in, I know nothing, but suppose it takes him 2 months and he comes back. Well, you got to get back in game shape, too. So you got to add at least another couple of weeks there. Again, I don't know, but I do know this. I would not let that young man touch the court unless his shoulder was 100%, because when that sucker starts popping out, that's a weakness. And I am an expert, unfortunately, on shoulders. And I said right after the blue-white game, I said, I know nothing, but I'm concerned it'll be a chronic situation.
I think you have a lot of reason to be concerned. But Austin Kearns knows about shoulders, doesn't he? And
yes.
But that it's just so weird that this happens. Point guard, almost the same injury, then re-injured it. I think that is a real. Not only his health is obviously a major concern, but playing without him is a major concern. I think they have sort of a point guard in Aberdeen. I don't think they have anybody else that's anywhere close to being a point guard.
I don't think Jasper's ready, but you might have to force to play him at the point 12 minutes.
Well, you might be forced to play him, but I don't think he's a point guard. Well, I mean, that's a problem if you're playing somebody. I mean, a point guard is the guy who makes everybody else better. Jasper, who I'm really high on, is an excellent freshman, still learning how to play as a freshman. But Jasper is a scorer.
Yeah,
he's not a guy that makes four other players better and makes on the spot decisions. He's a pretty good passer, but that's different than thinking like a point guard.
You know, and it's a good point, because Chandler is a really good passer, but he's not a point guard either.
I think Chandler's playing great, and he needs to be playing where he's playing. I think he's a great athlete. When he's playing point, to me, he looks like he's more worried about his handle and whether he can get up than he's not looking around the floor because he's too worried about the pressure on him, because he's not used to that. And I just don't think Chandler's a point guard. And the other problem with Jasper is, could be wrong, but I think defense is the biggest issue Jasper has. So you're going to put him on some of these elite point guards, you're saying? I think it's a real concern.
If this kid can't play the rest of the year, you think Kentucky's in trouble?
I think it definitely decreases their chances of going to the Final Four, yes. I mean, I don't see how it can't be. It's the same way with Butler last year. You knew if Butler was not playing, they were not the same team. And And Butler was really good and knew how to win games. We're not sure how good Lowe is, but I think we're pretty sure he's the only pure point guard or proven point guard.
So Kentucky beats Purdue. I thought Purdue was overrated. Bama beats St. John's. I watched the game, and St. John's got tired down the stretch. Bama was really good. Their guards are spectacular. And it was if that was the right to get to the Final Four, that would be in a hell of a game. And I loved how good Bama was. Hate to say it, but it is what it is. And then Purdue, who only beat, if I remember right, Oakland by 10, they beat Bama last night. I think you're going to see this crap all year long. I think comparing scores, it's nice. We all do it. I've been doing forever, but it's just not going to mean much this year more than ever before because, as I keep on saying, like a lot of people have said for a long time, the talent in college basketball has never been better because all these guys are staying in school, partly because they can make more money and partly because the NBA doesn't want them, so it's older and that kind of stuff. And I think you're going to see much more of this. And so look at what Purdue did last night. I mean, this is like you can't tell who the hell is going to show up or a particular matchup best somebody else. This is going to be like going on all year. What's already happened the first part of the season, I think, is going to be the norm all year.
I would agree with that. I mean, every one of us basically after the Purdue game was saying they're just not athletic enough to play with Kentucky. They don't look like they compete athletically. Well, Alabama's loaded with athletes, and we saw what happened last night. Brandon Smith toyed with Alabama lineups is loaded with guards, and there's no way going in that game I would have said that Brandon Smith was going to be by far the better guard. And he's on that game. And he's had a wonderful career. But Alabama's loaded with talent and guard. And Brandon Smith controlled that game. They were the better team last night.
Yeah,
it was a really good game.
Sorry for stepping on you, Jim. They were the better team. And what impressed me about Brandon Smith, his lack of athleticism, which was exposed against Kentucky. The Bama guards are very, very, very athletic. And what he did last night, I'm going, holy blank, blank, blank. That was my thought.
That was craftiness at his best. I mean, if he didn't pull up and shoot and they went after him, he used more pump fakes, head fakes, and he was really. I should have known because he's had a wonderful career, but I did not know he was that good.
Well, I thought he was overrated, which he was the night when he played Kentucky. I had seen him before, not a ton. I'd seen him before, thought he was really good, but I didn't think he was the best player in the country preseason. I thought that was a little crazy. We'll see how that works out. I still don't think he's the best player in the country, but last night, oh my, he was special.
And while we know those exhibition games are nice and they're better than playing, nothing against them, but Tracy and Georgetown, they are still exhibition games.
Yes. No question about it. Still much better. So Chandler's shooting 57%, and Kentucky did something I don't remember them doing all year. And I assumed that Pope would hold something back. Why would you show it for earlier games? They ran a double screen deep way past the top of the key, and he swished it. And then I thought they'd run the same play again, and they did not. I'm old school. Play works, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again until they stop it. But I was so happy to see it. And this kid he's got no fear. He's got no range. It's a beautiful thing. He's shooting 57%, and I think he's still just scratching the surface.
I think Colin Chandler's got a big upside. If we just look at the last few games of last year and the first few of this year, how far he's come, that ceiling just keeps going up. And he's really right now. He's very efficient outside, and he's the only. Is there another shooter on this team? I mean, I thought Trent Noah would be. And I don't know what was the deal with Trent Noah the other night. How didn't he get in the game?
Pope said he could play, but he sat him out. I don't know if it was precaution or he didn't want to use him. I can't answer that. But he's expected to play tomorrow night. I don't know if he wanted to wait till it was an easier. I have no idea. I thought it was odd when he said that he could have played when they did need some shooting. And then I give Pope some credit because Cam Williams has been terrible. And some of the people on social media have been awful saying, oh, he doesn't belong here. And you're quitting on the kid that early. And the dunk and the three and that kind of stuff. Let's see if he can back that up. But Pope did something. Not that he's right and Cal's wrong. It's just philosophies. Remember, Cal used to say, if I didn't play the kid in the first half, it's not fair to play him in the second half, which drove me nuts. Just drove me nuts. And I wonder if he put him in because he was kind of desperate. Because think about it, the kid has done nothing, and you need something, and the kid gave him a spark, and I'm happy for the kid, and that has to boost his confidence tremendously. You remember Cal saying that, right? Oh, if I don't play him in the first half, it's not fair to play him in the second half. And I'm going, what the hell does that mean? And I said it at the time.
But there were numbers of people, and I put myself in that group, that thought a month before the season Cam Williams was going to be one of the key players on this team. I think we got a little dose the other night of what he can do that a lot of players on this team can't do. He is a long, athletic guy who can defend and can also shoot the three. They have three-point shooters who aren't long and athletic, but they don't have anybody that's a really combination of that. And I understand it could take him a while. I hope. Now, I think that could be a game changer if that is just the start of where he's headed. Now, we'll see what happens. He may revert back and whatever, but I think Cam Williams gives them something that could be really important. Still doesn't help the point guard situation, but I think he could be really big on this team.
I'm going to guess the obvious. I don't know this, but you've seen this, Gene, for decades and decades and decades and decades. This is Kentucky. And sometimes when you get to a higher level, that was one of the themes last year. A lot of kids on a team who were really good kids and really good players needed to prove to themselves, and a number of them said it, that they could play on this level. And I just assumed that Cam Williams just naturally, there's not a negative bone in my body, that Cam Williams naturally was going through the same thing. I think it's normal. I think it's natural. And too many people think, I'll be great from day one. It's not the real world.
Oh, that is a very natural progression. It was a little surprising he really didn't do anything in the exhibition or the first couple of games, but I think he brings something to the table that they could really use.
Travis Ford said when he's watched practice, the kid doesn't miss. Let's go to Travis Ford with one other thing, and I want you to respond. So, Travis said he's been at practice enough that Owe makes a shot in practice. He said Owe needs to go back to doing what Owe did last year, take the ball to the bucket, has he dove on the floor once? Dive on the floor for loose balls, get tough rebounds, be who you were last year. This stuff about, hunting threes. I'm not saying you should never take a three. Just because the NBA says they want to see him shoot more threes, this is not the NBA. This is Kentucky. And right now, he's terrible. But I will say this, and I've said this for weeks now. The first show after the blue-white, when he was terrible, I came on the show and I said, the kid is not in shape. He hasn't run for 3 months. It ain't going to happen a week. And honestly, I've been saying this, by the time Michigan State happens, that excuse is out the window. He should be in good enough shape by Michigan State. It's long enough now that he should get past this stuff, and we should start seeing Owe not being the leading scorer, maybe not being the best player, but a guy who gets 13, 15 points a game without 5 turnovers, without taking too many threes, and being the tough guy that he was last year. I loved it when he goes to the bucket, and he can go to the bucket. I think he's been timid going to the bucket, by the way, and I wonder if it was his problem in the offseason. If he starts going to the buckets, I'm going to say, oh, this kid is back. Gene?
I think I was on your show a couple of weeks ago, and I said I will not be surprised if Owe starts slow, and it may be about mid-season before he really hits stride. I'm not attributing that as much to not being in shape, as I think that's somewhat of a process that happens a lot with players who come back for their senior year when there's that big anticipation. Are they coming back? Are they coming back? And they think they're going to come back and help their NBA situation, which he may in the end, but it puts more pressure on him. Just go back a couple of years to Oscar Tshiebwe. He was the player of the year in every poll in the world as a junior. Oscar was a nice player as a senior. Was he anywhere near the junior year? No, he was not. Because he came back more pressure. He got all the attention. Owe needs to get back to who Owe is and not what Owe may want to be or he thinks NBA people want him to be. And that's, I think Brandon Ramsey, I think, has been on your show a lot. I think it was a video he put out the other night breaking down the game. If you watch, they just let him sit in the corner by himself, begging them to throw the ball to him to shoot. Wide open. If I'm coaching against Kentucky, I'll let Owe stand out there, and he's going to have to hit 2 or 3 of them before I'm even saying go get him. Because I don't want him driving to the basket and trying to create.
I agree. And by the way, that was the other part that I agree with you 100%, that I said that guys often in the senior year are kind of different. And I threw that at Travis, and he had a great example. And you remember this. He coached Marcus Smart, who's still in the NBA.
That's right. He did.
He said he had the same problem with Marcus Smart as a senior, that he had to sit him down. You go into the NBA, be who you are. Don't be somebody else. We've seen it with Kentucky players a lot. I think it's both. I think the in shape thing, and I think the fact the NBA, I'll show him I can hit threes because that's what I want to do to help my draft status. And I don't think he's selfishly trying to hurt the team. I don't mean that. I don't think that. But I think in the process, he's skewed wrong, and he's got to go back to being the player he was. If he's a hell of a slasher, the NBA will like him. If he wants to hunt 3-point shots, he's going to be in the G League the rest of his life.
First of all, I love Oweh as a college player. I thought last year he was the glue of that team. He deserved all the recognition he got. I think we probably disagree on his NBA future. I think it's going to be a struggle for him in the NBA. He's a 6'4", 6'5". Where's he going to play? He is not going to be a pure shooter. He's not a great ball handler. I think he's made to be a great college player. I think he can be. I think it's hard for him to be the man. And I think it's going to be a little bit of struggle for him after this. I'm not saying he won't make a roster and play some, but he needs to do what he can do and do it right. His body language didn't look good to me the other night.
It was terrible. Oh, no. I don't think right now that he's going to be a great pro. I think Chandler has tons better potential as a pro because he can shoot. And I've said that Chandler.
Well, I don't mean great. I mean play. Is he going to play in the league for? I thought I heard you say once you thought he'd play in the league a long time. And you didn't understand all these guys that were rated above him in the draft.
I did say that. I don't think he should be a lotto pick, but if he took a step up from last year, I could see him late first round, early second round. If he became a great shooter, which isn't happening, could he be 15 to 20? He's not going to happen. But he's a guy, he could be a little bit like Cason Wallace, who's now starting for OKC. Cason Wallace shot. He works on it. It's not very good, but he's tough defensively. Wallace is a better defensive player than Oweh, but they're kind of similar players. But right now, Oweh isn't playing like the Oweh of last year. If he will hustle as hard as Wallace, there's a space for him in the NBA, I think, for a long time as an extra player, as a guy that's a glue guy, as a guy you can rely on. If you want him to be one of your leading scorers in the team in the NBA, it's a failure. It's a failure. But I look at Cason Wallace, and OKC is smart enough because they have so much offense. He takes the toughest guy, and he sprints, and he gets dunks, and he gets loose ball. Well, Oweh can get loose balls. Has gotten some really dunks last year off loose balls, and they should be very, 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 very similar. And if they're very, very, very similar, I don't think there'll be a team drafting him as high as they did Wallace, because Wallace is a little bit better athlete, but I do think there's a spot for him in the NBA for a long time as a glue guy. If he plays like last year and better, not like this year. If he plays like this year, hell, he'll get a free agent contract. He ain't going to get drafted.
I do think there's Wallace and Oweh are a little different. I think Wallace is smoother as a guard. I think he's a more natural guard. I think he's a more natural ball handler. I think his shot is more natural. Oweh winds up, and Oweh takes the kind of shot that you see Reed Shepherd block, and you wonder, how does he do that? It's because he takes so long he winds up to do it. And again, I don't want to pick on Oweh because I think he'll end up having a really good year, and I think he can be a really great college player. But he got to get back to who he is and be a leader.
I agree. Gene, I'm late on time. Give me 2 lines about the football game tomorrow.
My line is the only thing that who would have said 2 weeks ago, Alan, if we were sitting here, that we'd be sitting here today saying we're excited about the football team and playing for a bowl game, and everybody's down on the basketball team. None of us would have said that. That's I'm glad to see them turning around. I hope they can keep going. I think they got a shot at 2 out of the last 3, and that's all they need. And I've been hard on Stoops, and I've given him credit for them being resilient, which Stoops is resilient. This team is showing it. I'm very impressed by what they've done. They're playing big time defense, and 3 of the last 4 games, they have not given up a touchdown drive, and that's playing SEC teams. We're not, you're talking Texas, Auburn, and Florida. That's traditional football teams.
Have a great weekend, brother. Appreciate it.
You too. Take care, man.
Thanks, Gene.
Bye-bye.
Gene Abel, great analysis. Always fun. Terry Page. Terry Page. Not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. Text her. She's a special person. Butler, Kentucky on Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday in Lexington. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
I'm Kathy Bingaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together. And the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
This is Brent Clark with my daughter, Carlisle.
We want to help you get ready for the holidays. So if you are just headed around the block or far away, stop in, gas up, and get some yummy treats for the car. Check out our holiday specials, including Mentos or Trident 5 bottle pack gum for $3.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips 3-ounce bags for $1.99.
So no matter where your holiday travels take you, stop in any Clark's Pump and Shop and get stocked up on holiday candy. And thank you for being a customer.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Well, we've gone from Sean Woods busting my chops tremendously, and he was so proud of himself, to analysis by Gene Abel. And now, this young lady, I say young because I don't want to admit she's
old
30, because that makes me older. In all my years at LAX 18, we had 2 interns that were so good. This part I don't think I've ever told you, that I'm going, I need to not do anything to screw this up. One, it's the truth. And we've had a lot of really good, interns. Like Channel 27 has had a lot of good interns. Just, there's a lot of kids who just want to be stars and don't want to do any work. And there's a lot of kids that are really, really good and have been very, very successful. Well, Christy Thomas walked in. She was like really good. Drew Dina walked in. He was like really good. And I'm going, Cutler, don't mess this up. I mean, the truth, Christy, a star.
Oh, you're sweet.
University in the Campbellsville Hall of Fame, a post player who destroyed all kinds of people, whose dad was the defensive coordinator at Campbellsville. No question she could have gone on to a huge market bigger than Lexington, but there's a lot of really talented people who stay in Lexington because they live here, which is a beautiful thing. Does a great job on the pregame show for Kentucky football on the network. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Christy Thomas. Hello, Christy. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And gosh, I appreciate all that. And I have to tell you too that there are very few people that I don't tell when they talk about how do you get in this business? What do you do? What do you do? And internships are always what I will say. You've got to get your feet wet. You got to figure out, do you like it? Is it something that you really want to do? And I talk about what a great experience my internship was, that really fueled that for me, that really wanted me to go, hey, this is what I want to do. And it's intense. It's an intense environment. Being in a newsroom is intense, but that really set the tone for me to know that I wanted to do that. So I always talk about you guys and what a great experience that was. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, newsrooms are kind of funny. It's not the same now as it used to be, but there's a feeling, there's a vibe, there's an energy. You either like it or you don't. I don't think there's any.
That's right.
And I loved it. I mean, maybe I was sick, maybe it was a drug or something, but I loved it until about 62. And then I said, I'm tired of this, but I couldn't retire yet. So I was very, very, very lucky. So I want to ask you something of the obvious in a second, but let's go first about football. I was not smart enough before the Auburn game to sit here and say, hey, these kids are going bowling. I don't even doubt it now. And if you would have told me 3 weeks ago they're going bowling, I would have said, okay, that's your opinion. That's cool. Now go take a drug test.
Yes. Well, I totally agree. I mean, I think that a lot of us were in that space, and I think it's just because of sort of the way they were playing. And I think more than anything, out of 13 years of doing pregame radio with UK football, what I've seen out of this team is just that these young men want it, and they have not quit. I mean, I think even last year we probably saw some flashes of some kids really just kind of quitting and just really trying to turn the page to the next level and think about what was next. And I haven't sensed that at all from these guys. And I think that's a big piece of this, is that you've got to want to be able to do it, and they do. So they are believing in themselves in a way that I think is unique, and is I think we should all applaud this. I mean, this is, a beautiful thing that we're watching happen here, that these young men are really, coming together and playing some really good football right now. And listen, we all know, and I've said this to 1,000 people, Auburn's not your grandpa's Auburn, your dad's Auburn. I understand that. Neither is Georgia or Florida, right? So, but either way, a win's a win's a win in the SEC, and who cares? So, the fact that these guys have themselves in a place where they could really get something done here, I think, speaks volumes about them.
Yeah, even before it turned around, which I was not smart enough to predict, one of the things I've been saying for 5, 6 weeks, these kids haven't quit, which, by the way, whether anybody likes Stoops or not, it's a credit to Stoops. It's a credit to the assistant coaches. It's a credit to the players themselves, because how many times have we seen, you've seen it a million times, things start going bad and boom, it falls apart. These kids refused. It's actually even more impressive because what's that expression? It was be easy to let go of the rope, but these kids didn't do it. And I'm for it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I've also said too, I feel like there's always a what if for me every season. I kind of have like, wow, what if this happened? And I hate to be that way, but I think it's just my nature. But my what if this year is going to be, what if Cutter Boley was the guy from week 1? Amen. What if Cutter Boley, so I think that things start to look different, feel different. And I get it. Understand you've got a guy like Zach Calzada, you're paying money, you're doing all these things, and you are sort of trying to give, Cutter some more runway. So I understand that. But, I think the best case scenario for UK football this year was Cutter really being forced into that with an injury, and to Zach. And here we are. And so I will forever say, what if Cutter was the guy at week 1?
The part that bothered me, and I said it many times on my show, is, Stoops is saying, it's a competition. It's a competition. To me, it was BS. The only way it's a competition if you split the ones equally between the first 2 quarterbacks. But when one quarterback is only with the 2s, it's not a competition. And I said that many, many, many times. And what I would have liked to have seen, let Zach get half the reps with the 1s, let Cutter get half the reps with the 1. And if Zach is better, okay, as much as I wanted Cutter to play, if he earns it because he's better with the 1s, then you need to start him. You got to be fair to the kids. But when you say it's a competition and one guy's only with the 2s, I thought it was extremely disingenuous, and I said that many, many times. And I've wondered too, what if Cutter started from day 1?
Yeah.
I got no clue, but it's a fair thing to wonder, no?
Yeah. Well, and I think, I think Texas looks different. I mean, I think, there are a lot of things that you can kind of look at to go, wow, this could have been different. What I will say about that, kind of saying there's a competition, is it almost feels like that's just sort of what you have to say, right? I mean, you kind of have to sort of give that some legs to some degree, but you're like, but do you? Because honestly, if Zach is a graduate, he's been playing forever, he's played in the SEC, you're giving him some money, all these things are kind of, all of these things are checking those boxes. I feel like, he was going to be the guy when he got here no matter what. So that feels sort of like, but why? You know what I mean? Like, and I remember when they went to go get him, I thought, yeah, what's wrong with Cutter? I mean, but I'm thinking we are a place where you can develop a younger type of quarterback and give him that really long rope and a really long leash to try to do some things and learn some things, especially maybe not so much with a non-Kentucky kid, but a Kentucky kid. You've got plenty of leash with the fan base to be able to just let him make some mistakes.
Last one that I want you to respond to, if you want, that, and then we'll go into the main reason why I asked you to come on. But you got too much football knowledge, so I was going to tap you a little bit of that, so you were prepared. Well, you could talk about football in your sleep anyway, so it's all good. I have always believed, and this is not the first or second or fourth time I said this, had this offensive line been starting, it's a what-if game. We all know that. For Kentucky against Louisville last year, now, Cutter did throw a really bad pick, and I think he got rattled a little bit. And by the way, it's happened to Peyton Manning. I'm not comparing to Peyton, but it's just life. Had they had this offensive line starting against Louisville last year, Zach Calzada would not have been here, that they would have given the keys to the car to Cutter, and that's what really ticked me off, because under a lousy offensive line, which to their credit has gotten tons better.
Yeah.
You're putting a kid in, doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know what's happening. He's a smart kid. There's only so much you can do. And the kid's worried about running for his life. Whereas now these kids in the offensive line have molded together, they've branded together, and they really want to block for Cutler. And I thought if he had a good offensive line last year, Zach wouldn't be here.
Well, I think it's a great point, and I do think that, to your point, putting a young kid like that in what is arguably the biggest game of the year. I mean, I understand that Tennessee's a big game. These are all big games. There, no question about it. But in that game is just different. It hits different, and so I tend to agree with that. I mean, I think that's true. That I think that's where they really realized we've got to go get some guys. We've got to go to work in the transfer portal and make this happen. And this is something I talked with Logan a lot on the pregame radio show about, is how do you make that happen with offensive linemen, bringing them together where it's a different day than when he played even just a couple of years ago, where they're all staying together. They're coming in as freshmen. I listened to them talk about how they gave Kenneth Horsey a hard time and how they just absolutely railroaded this guy. But they said, this is what it took to be able to earn our respect to play on this offensive line. So there's some of that's missing. Big pieces of that are missing. And so, I think for these guys to really be a little older, coming here for their first year, but good. They're good enough to be able to make that happen and bring that together. And to your point, when you tie that in with, had Cutler just had 2 or 3 more games under his belt, to be able to come in and get some things. I firmly believe this team wins out. I mean, I really do. I think Tennessee Tech is definitely an interesting game tomorrow, but I believe this team wins out. I think that they've got fate on their side at this point, and they're ready. So I think we end up seeing them bowling.
I think they're going to beat Tennessee Tech like a drum in the trenches because they're just not that good enough. They're really great at their level, but this is a totally different level. Okay, I was going to throw something else at you, but this to me is important. It's been a pet peeve of mine way before you were an intern. In the 1980s, there were some good coaches who trust me, who told me they were getting out of the business, said, don't put it on TV, and I didn't. The names are important, and I've forgotten a couple names anyway, but it's really not important. But they were good coaches and good men.
Yeah.
And they got out of the damn business because the parents are driving them out of their blank minds. And it's gotten worse because of social media. I mean, it just stinks. And administrations, and by the way, if anybody at this particular school that Christy's going to mention, if you want to come back and say I'm wrong and come at me, bring it on, brother or sister. Bring it on. I'll talk to you all day. So, I'm very fair to say, okay, tell me I'm wrong. But tell me what your husband did. Tell me where your husband was. And I've read your Facebook post, and I got to tell you, I got really ticked off. Not surprised by any of it, but it's not right. And then when you know somebody, I know you a little bit, and somebody's husband, and you have a wonderful family, gets treated like that. I was furious for you guys and your family. Please explain.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So my husband was the softball coach at Frederick Douglass High School here in Lexington. My daughter plays. She's a junior this year. So some years ago, two years ago, I guess 2.5 years ago, he was approached, never wanted to be a high school coach. Okay. That's not on the list of things to do. He's a professional outside of this, doesn't teach, doesn't work in the school system. So he was approached by a parent about, taking over this program because they've had a lot of coaches come through there. At the time, they'd had 4 coaches in 5 years. Ooh. So it's been a carousel of things. And they said, we got to have somebody to come in here, bring some discipline, some structure. We've got some real pieces with these young kids in here that can really get some things done. And they were parents who really were looking for to be competitive. And so we talked about it as a family, and really it was ultimately up to my daughter Haley, because this is her and her career. And does she want to be coached by her dad? She has been before. And does she want to switch schools? I mean, ultimately, that's what that was going to come down to, was her taking her freshman year and going from Henry Clay to Frederick Douglass. And so, before all that happened, Alan, it was wild because I said, rumor mill gets going crazy and people start asking you, hey, are you all going over there? What's going on? And people were warning us by name. They were using names to say, well, you'll never survive so-and-so. So-and-so is going to be a problem. So-and-so is going to be a problem. And you think, wow. Lots of people are warning you about this, and you think, can it be that bad? I mean, can it really be that bad? So, it was a chance we were willing to take because we knew we had something to offer. And I say we because really it is a full family ordeal when you do this. And I got fully invested as well, too, and got involved with the program. But ultimately we did it. So, 2 years in, and he did do exactly what needed to be done in terms of instituting some real discipline and some structure, and, really started to run this program like a small college program. They practiced well. There were expectations, and some people don't always handle that. What also means we're going to do is win. We have a job to do, and that's to win. So, sometimes that doesn't always involve every single kid on the up and down the roster, getting time on the field. So we have year one, everything's fine. We, no drama, no nothing. I can't believe we've survived year one with no drama. How does that happen, right? And then year two rolls around, and it seems as if there's no drama because there's no complaints have ever been brought to Jason's attention. No one's ever asked to speak to him. One parent did, but then they never followed up. And mainly because his philosophy was, listen, if there's a problem, your player needs to come to me and let's talk about it, because oftentimes there isn't a problem. It's a parent problem, not a player problem.
Yep.
So that was part of his philosophy as well too. So, sometimes it's like, hey, why don't you talk to your daughter and see if there's a problem, and then we'll discuss it if we need to. So, a lot of things that, we're year two comes around, and we win more games than we've won in school history. We win the first district title in school history. So everybody's really kind of on cloud nine, and we have almost all of this talent is coming back. So we know we are really poised to be a favorite in the 11th region for the next 2 years. We've got a very talented sophomore class. So we know for the next 2 years, we're in a good place here to really get some things done in the 11th region and head to state. So, everything seems to be fine. Well, at the end of May, 1st of June, he gets an email from Fayette County Public Schools saying that he's being investigated and that there have been some complaints and he's being investigated. So, I say nothing, and I stayed very silent through all of this. And so this started in June and didn't end until October.
Cool.
So there's really no reason why any of this would drag on this long or last this long, or us, it would take this long for us to get there. And, so what I decided to do in October is these complaints were filed. Jason, had really, if you want to call it there was no due process. Let's put it that way. They say they're going to investigate. An investigation to me means that you talk to and interview all parties involved. That didn't happen. There were only a few people that got interviewed. That was parents, the parents and kids that had complained, along with just a few others, and that was it. So, if you've got 22 kids on your team and 4 complained, what's wrong with the other 18? Why can't they have their say and say what they'd like to say? None of that ever happened. So they all started sending emails in support of Jason and that sort of thing. So, the problem becomes into is, sometimes these people, if they're serial complainers, they know exactly what to do. They know what to say. They know the words to use, the buzzwords. They know what tree to bark up, those kind of things. And there was a one or two of them that knew exactly what to do. So some of those buzzwords that they used and things, mental abuse. So what he had been, the complaints were around him being mean, him being a bully, which, oftentimes, if I'm holding you accountable for something and you don't like it, could definitely be perceived as mean. But is it, so, then, just things like that. So, it became this thing with all of a sudden CPS gets involved because they've used these terms of mental abuse, that he had been mentally abusive to these particular players. So CPS gets involved, which I'm just flabbergasted by. I cannot even believe that's real life. And they do the interview though, and CPS comes back to Fayette County and says, we found nothing.
I got to stop you a second, and let you continue. Tell everybody what CPS is, please.
Child Protective Services. Yeah.
I know, so because when you said CPS, I literally got to. You're getting me angrier now. But go ahead. I got about a minute. Christy, I got about a minute and a half. Go for it.
Yeah. So here we are, really, where you have no explanations. You really don't know anything. But the bottom line is that you don't have the support of Fayette County in this regard, where they just don't. They let him go. They just didn't renew his contract, is what they did. They gave him no reason for that. They didn't tell him why. I mean, so the bottom line becomes then that we are giving complaining parents too big of a platform with no one standing up to say, this isn't right. You cannot get away with this anymore. You cannot threaten us anymore. You cannot say all these things that are untrue and get away with it without there being some kind of repercussion. So that's why I decided to use my platform on social media to just say, this is exactly what happened. Nothing that I've said on there has been anything that didn't happen, but it's been so poorly handled. And it's just such but this is where we are. This is the state of where we are in high school athletics. And why there will be so few parents or people in general that will ever be willing to step up and coach. It's a very sad place.
And coaches make so much money in high school anyway.
Oh, don't they? Yeah. We're all getting rich out here.
Did Jason make 50 cents an hour? Probably not.
If that. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm sorry. It really ticks me off.
I appreciate that. Well, everybody's comments have given me life. I'll be honest with you, because there is has been so much support, which has been great.
I'm angry. The second thing I'm angry at, that it was months where you guys in limbo. I almost use the word, and I got a potty mouth, which you know, so I use my potty mouth on radio. Not that you're surprised. I know your mouth is perfect.
No, I know. I'm right there with you, bud.
I know you are. No, you can go boom, 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 boom with easily. But to let somebody hang out for months is past disgusting. Do your work. You know what? Call a meeting and let all the parents come in. And let parents. And if parents doesn't show up, they don't show up. Okay.
Yeah.
You can have it and say, okay, let's talk. Oh, there's only 2 of you. Oh, this is what Jason did. Oh, we have more discipline. Oh, we're winning more. Oh, it's really good for the girls. Oh, some of these girls or guys, I don't care. This is not a sexist thing. Can't handle criticism. Well, yeah, maybe you need to learn. Maybe they should have played Frop.
Oh, listen, we're setting these kids up for failure in life. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. These parents
hang on.
For
say
sure.
that again. Hang on. Say that again. That's the most powerful thing you say outside the crap that happened to you guys.
Yeah, we're setting these kids up for failure in life. I mean, It just is, it's happening. I mean, you can't fix things for your kids their entire life. You have to raise kids to stand on their own 2 feet and be able to fight for themselves and do, so that's my hope, is what I'm doing now, is just kind of speaking out about it a little bit. It doesn't change anything, but if nothing else, it just says that I see you, the complainers, you don't win.
Bless you. Good for you sticking up for your husband. Good for you for sticking up for one of the worst things in high school sports. I think sucks. It's disgusting. And there'll be some really good people like your husband who could really help, who now won't go into the business because I don't need his crap.
You're exactly right.
Your pregame show is first class. The way you meld people together in a friendly way and incorporate the guys on the team, you push them and then you step back and let them go. You do a great job. You really do.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on and for all your kind words. I really appreciate it. And love visiting with you. It's great.
Okay. I hope we do it again in a positive circumstance.
Yes, let's do it.
Hey, say hi to your husband for me. Bless you.
I sure will. Thanks, Alan.
Jimmy, I'm telling you, she's great. She could work anywhere. She just likes living in Lexington. I know we're late. I've got to say this. Elliott Services, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting the show. And I'm telling you, they are spectacular. Our light went out. We had no hot water. Called Chuck Ely. He had somebody over here today, Chad Flynn. We became friends. He showed me tape of his son hitting the game-winning shot, a long shot against Paris and Bourbon. When he was in high school. We've become buddies. They took care of me. We can have a hot shower. This is 3 times Chuck Ely has taken care of me with Elliott Services and his group. It's spectacular. I think the world of him. They're special people. They care. Elliott Services, 859-255-5788, 859-255-5788. 100% employee owned the company with licensed background check, not commission-based technicians. Think of anything in the world you need from an electrician. They do it. Big job, small job, it doesn't make a difference. Elliott Service uses it. Please do me a favor. If you call and if you need something, please call. Use my name. It helps tremendously. Elliott Service, thank you for... I can go take a hot shower in a couple minutes. I couldn't last night, didn't. 859-255-5788. Thank you to Sean Woods, who busted my chops. Thank you to Gene Abel. Christy Thomas, thank you. You're wonderful. Been wonderful forever. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon. Brad Taylor after that. Have yourself a great weekend. Oh. I forgot to mention, I know I'm late, but I have to do this. Steve Tressler, he asked me to mention his pregame show tomorrow night. He's at Campus Pub. He has a lot of fun. Jason Dunn, former Studley tight end in the NFL. If you show up to Campus Pub, the show starts at 12:30. You will get an autographed picture. Plus, it's a great place to eat. Campus Pub, Jason Dunn, Steve Tressler. Check it out. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM.